Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. European stocks are tumbling and investors around the world are keeping a close eye on Greece as the euro crisis enters a new phase. On the heels of elections that ousted the pro-austerity government in Greece, new anti-austerity parties have so far been unable to form a coalition government. Greek President Carlos Papoulis is desperately trying to bring together party leaders for a meeting today in hopes of finding a coalition government. But far-left Syriza party leader Alex Tsipras is refusing to attend any meeting that includes other parties who support austerity. Neither austerity nor anti-austerity parties won enough seats in the last election to form a coalition government, meaning the president will likely have to call for a new round of elections in the coming weeks. If so, the far-left Syriza party will likely pick up even more seats in parliament, making an anti-austerity coalition government a real possibility just before Greece runs out of money as early as next month. When Greece goes broke, if the new government refuses to sign on to the IMF and EU-backed austerity and bailout plan, then Greece will likely default and be forced out of the Eurozone. Thanks to the worldwide economic meltdown and trickle-down austerity response, the Greek economy has been in a depression for the past 5 years. At least now an end might be in sight, although it could get very, very painful. Meanwhile, in Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel saw her Conservative Party get crushed in state elections in North Rhine-Westphalia, the biggest state in Germany. Merkel has been leading the charge for austerity around Europe, but now finds herself vulnerable as support for her party plunged to 26%, its worst result since World War II. Everywhere you look, the supporters of trickle-down austerity are getting hammered by voters. Let's hope Americans get the message soon and kick out the Republicans who are pushing Paul Ryan's austerity budget here. In screwed news, over the weekend, more than 200,000 jobless Americans were cut off from crucial unemployment benefits. Americans in California, Florida, Illinois, and several other states were kicked off the rolls Saturday thanks to austerity legislation pushed by House Republicans earlier this year that reduces the number of weeks someone can receive unemployment benefits from 99 weeks down to 79 weeks. Thanks to this new Republican law, so far more than 400,000 Americans have lost their benefits. Even though the economy has slightly improved, unemployment is still disturbingly high in places like California, where more than 100,000 people lost their benefits despite unemployment at 11% in that state. And as more and more Americans lose their benefits and no longer have money to spend to stimulate the economy, Republicans could be pushing us right straight into another economic downturn. Of course, that's exactly what the Republican Party wants, the economy to tank just before November to make President Obama look bad. And the rest of the news, the fallout from J.P. Morgan Chase's $2 billion gambling loss continues. The bank's chief investment officer announced she will step down, and sources close to the bank said that at least 2 more heads will roll after the bank's serious financial blunder. And now the top dog at J.P. Morgan Chase, CEO Jamie Dimon, may not escape this fiasco unscathed. Massachusetts Senate candidate and consumer watchdog Elizabeth Warren is calling for Dimon to resign as a director of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. In a statement to supporters, Warren wrote, "Dimon should resign from his post at the New York Fed to send a signal to the American people that Wall Street bankers get it and to show that they understand the need for responsibility and accountability." What happened at J.P. Morgan Chase shows that not nearly enough has been done since the 2008 crash to rein in banksters who won't think twice about crashing our economy again just to boost their quarterly earnings. Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, and their legal teams are officially war criminals. So says a war tribunal in Malaysia, which convicted Bush and key officials in his administration of war crimes on Saturday and ordered reparations be given to the torture victims. After hearing testimony of victims who were tortured at the hands of U.S. soldiers and contractors in Afghanistan and Iraq, the tribunal found that the United States violated international law and the principles of the Nuremberg Charter. One of those legal advisors convicted was former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo, who was recently cleared in a United States court, the Ninth Circuit, of any responsibility for torture. The Malaysian tribunal plans to submit their findings and records of the hearing to the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court and the United Nations Security Council. It should be troubling to Americans that other foreign nations are doing what we should be doing, holding our own war criminals to account. It's time for justice to be served against the Bush war criminals and torturers. The president's big endorsement of same-sex marriage is still resonating this week. The new edition of Newsweek declared Obama the first gay president, and a new CBS New York Times poll shows the American people in support of the president's new stance. A large majority of Americans polled support some sort of legal recognition for same-sex couples, and 38% of Americans support full marriage equality versus 33% who don't support recognizing same-sex couples. Also, new studies show marriage equality is good for the economy. States that have legalized same-sex marriage have seen positive economic effects thanks to more tourism, lodging, and wedding business. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, same-sex marriage could help the federal budget by $1 billion a year. And finally, Congress announced plans to hold hearings on the Secret Service's South American sex scandal. Independent Joe Lieberman is leading the distraction in the Senate, and Republican Peter King is leading it in the House. Of course, no jobs will be created by investigating the Secret Service. It'll just keep the mainstream media distracted for another few news cycles. And that's the way it is today, Monday, May 14th, 2012. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.